Okay, now we are going to look at our last example, and that is when c, remember ax squared plus bx plus c, when c is negative. So when we have a number that multiplies to equal a negative number, we have to have one negative number, one positive number. The steps are all the same, but we have to list our factors of negative 27, which means we're going to have a one positive number, one negative. Whereas when c is positive, they're either both going to be positive or both going to be negative. So if we look at the factors of 27, now I've listed them out here for you. We just have to list the other factor. We always start with 1 and that number. So 1 in negative 27 or negative 1 in positive 27 would be one of our factors. And then 27, 2 is not going to work because it's not even, divided by 3. That gives us 9. So 3 and a negative 9, or negative 3 and a positive 9. You can always keep checking to see if there's more. Divided by 4, no. 27 divided by 5, no. 27 divided by 6, no. And when 6 passes that up, we know we've gone too far. So these are our combinations that multiply to equal negative 27. Now, which one of these add to equal positive 6? So 1 plus negative 27, negative 1 plus 27, 3 plus a negative 9, or negative 3 plus 9. So we have to figure out which combine to equal a positive 6. In this case, it's going to be negative 3 and a positive 9. So in your answer, after you do your two x's, you're just going to write those in there. Negative 3, positive 9, and you are factored. All right, so in some ways, I think having this negative 27 is kind of easier, unless they're both positives. Then we know we're just dealing with positive numbers. When this is negative and that's positive, then we're mixing them up quite a bit. All right, so let's go ahead and instead of x, I'm using different variables. So our first step, list your m's or x's or whatever it is. So what are our factors of 20? We know it's 1 and 20. We know it's 2, so 20 divided by 2 gives us 10. 2 and 10. 20 divided by 3. Nope. 20 divided by 4. Yep, 4 and 5. So now we know that for it to be negative, one of these has to be negative. So I'm going to list these twice. 1 and 20. 2 and 10. 4 and 5. And in one case, these are negative. In the other case, these are negative. So which one of these 6 choices add up to equal positive 8? That's what we need to ask ourselves. So if we kind of go through these, this is going to be 19. This would be 8. This would be 1. So right now we know it's a negative 2 and a 10. So write in negative 2, write in positive 10, and that is our answer. This would be negative 19, this would be negative 8, and this would be negative 1. So the signs do matter. We need to make sure we know which ones they add up to equal, whether it's a positive or a negative. All right, go ahead and pause and see if you can do this, but I'm going to set up the parentheses, P and P. And I'm going to list my factors of 40. So we're going to start, and again, because it's negative, and if you notice here, this is going to add up to be a negative 3 at some point. So I'm going to list 1 and 40. I'm going to do exactly what I did here. I'm going to list all of them, and then I'm going to write them again if I need to, if I don't see them. So I have 1 and 40, 40 divided by 2. So you got 2 and 20. I don't think 3 would work, right? But until you get used to that, just check 40 divided by 4. Yes, we got 4 and 10, right? 4 and 10. You can see the difference is not getting close to 3 yet. It's getting closer. 40 divided by 5. That's going to give us 8, 5, and 8. You can see there's a difference between 5 and 8 of that, right? 40 divided by 6. Nope. And 6, once our divisor is pretty close, we're pretty much done, because 40 divided by 7, we know that's not going to work either. So there are my factors. I'll list them again. 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. And because it is a negative, remember, one of them has to be negative and one of them has to be positive. So which ones combine to equal -3 when you add them together? Well, this would be our answer. 5 plus a -8, that's going to be -3. So we have a +5 and a -8 would be our factored form. All right, I have a few practice problems for you guys to do because that's the end of that section when it comes to factoring. I know it's a lot of information. Rewatch the video, but the key is being able to write the factors of that C and having some knowledge that if it's a negative, one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative when we talk about our factors. If it's a positive, either both going to be positive and both going to be negative, and then which ones add to equal that middle number. So here's a couple sample problems that I wrote down. So go ahead and pause this, try these. I'm going to go ahead and work these out as well. So we have x and x. So my factors 28 can either be both positive or both negative. So 1 and 28, 2 and 14. So right here I know that 2 and 14 is going to equal 16, but I need to make it to equal -16. So I know that also -2 times -14 also equals 28, but those add together to equal -16. So I can write that -2, -14 right in there. So you can see here I didn't have to list out all of my factors of 28 because once I got to one I knew would add up to that and followed those rules, then I could go ahead and stop. Sometimes they're a little bit trickier than others too, but so it's always good to get in the habit of listing them all. So this next one, again, pause it, try it on your own, and see if you get the right answer. So my factors of 6, 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Use your calculators to do that. So there are my choices. Because it's positive and this is positive, I know that they're all going to be positive numbers. So which one of these add together to equal 5? Well, 1 plus 6 is 7, 2 plus 3 is 5, so that would be a +2, +3, and there's my factored form of that. All right, here's another couple examples. If you notice all these examples, I've switched around the signs so they're all in different orders, so you're going to have to think a little bit. All right, do your first step because a equals 1, right? This is just an x squared. So you can do x and x. So I'll go ahead and do this one on our calculator to show you how you should be doing this until you get more comfortable. So 1 and 32. 32 divided by 2. It gives us 2 and 16. 32 divided by 3. Nope, that's not an even whole number. 32 divided by 4. So I have 4 and 8. 32 divided by 5. That's not going to work. 32 divided by 6. And now that number's lower than that divisor, so I know I'm done. And with a negative number, all right, I know that I have to have one of each. So I'm going to write it twice. 1 and 32. We already know that that's not going to combine to equal 14, so that's kind of out the window. 2 and 16. 4 and 8. So I'm going to make these negatives. Here I'm going to make these negatives. And which one of these groupings would add to equal our -14? So which one, when we do these problems, add to equal 14, -14? Well, it's going to be this one. A 2 and a -16. So a +2, a -16. So that's our factored form of this. All right, the last example. Again, I do my x's. I'm going to list my 54. Since it's negative, it can be a positive or a negative. So I might have to list it twice, and you might visually have to see it before you decide. So 1 and 54. Remember, we're looking for a combination of 3. So these are pretty far apart, but I still get in the habit of listing all my factors. So does 2 work? 54 divided by 2. 2 and 27. Still pretty far apart from 3. 54 divided by 3. Yep, 3 and 18. Still not close to 3 though. 54 divided by 4. No. 54 divided by 5. That's not going to work. 54 divided by 6. We got 6 and 9. And you can see the difference here. We're looking for a difference of 3. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to rewrite them again. 54, 2, and 27. Now you know it's going to be these combinations, but I'm just going through the process. So I normally wouldn't think I would see this from you guys. Remember, with a negative, one is positive, one is negative. And we know it's going to be one of these two. So which one of these two, negative 6 plus 9 or 6 plus negative 9, equals to equal a positive 3? So when you do that, it's going to be this one. So my answer would be negative 6 and a positive 9, and that's my factored form.